Today, I want to show you how to transform your home or the corner of your office into your own personal studio with a couple of insider tips and tricks you probably never heard of. Now, let me go ahead right off the bat and be very transparent with you. This is not a video that's going to talk to you about having the perfect lighting, although we're going to touch a little bit on that. We're not going to talk about the perfect camera angles or even the perfect camera you should have. This is not that. What I do want to talk to you about is how to create a space that you love showing up in, a place that you love to go create content, a place that's already set up, and you don't have to keep setting this up every single time you get ready to do a podcast interview, a TV interview, or even create content. What I have found, even in my own experience, in my own journey, is that when I already have this thing set up, it is more comfortable and easy for me to create. And also, if it's something that I love and enjoy, a place I love hanging out in, I'm more likely to come in and create the content. So this really is about creating a space that you love being in. And so if you want to find out about my favorite resources, like my favorite ring light or the favorite microphone that I love to use when it comes to creating content, we will have that in the resources section underneath this video. And you can go check out my favorite things in my Amazon store. But let's get into why you, as a thought leader, should have your own space to create content in. I've actually been saying this for years. And I think when the pandemic hit the world in 2020, we really saw that the opportunity opened up for us really to create content from the corner of our home. When I started in these digital streets, back in about 2015, 2016, with the invention of Periscope, which gave all of us the capabilities to live stream from our phone. When I started in the digital space, I literally was in the corner of my bedroom. In fact, that space was about 4 by 6. And if I moved slightly to the right and turned my camera, you would have saw my dresser drawer. So it was a tight space. And when I started, I didn't have this backdrop, which I'll talk to you about that a little bit later. All I had was a white wall and a message in my heart. So what I want to tell you today is you can start literally creating content right now. You can start creating and carving your space to be creative right now. Every one of us have a wall in our office, in our home. So you can start there and gradually build up and purchase all these other items or all the other things that I'm going to share with you today in my space that I love creating content in. But why do I believe that everyone should have a studio in their home? As a thought leader, you're going to be called upon to do TV interviews, podcast interviews, and even create your content to get your thought leadership in the world. And for some of us, you either don't have the time, the resources, or even the capabilities to go to a space or to find a space to create content. You can do it right in your home. And now we're seeing a turn of the tide where you can do TV interviews right from your home. In fact, I'm in my home studio right now. And during the pandemic, I was doing TV interviews right here in this set. So I was live on the Today Show, the Tamron Hall Show. I was doing podcast interviews, local TV interviews right here in my home studio. And so I want you to think about when it comes to your thought leadership and getting in front of the camera, making sure that you have those pieces, this set spot where you can show up as your own studio so that way you can be seen, heard, and paid. And so I believe that every thought leader should have their own studio, that way you're not getting ready, you're already ready. In fact, when I did my first interview on the Today Show, the producer remarked about, wow, your setup is amazing. He didn't know I was a former TV news producer. Wow, I really love what you've created here, right? And so he didn't have to send me the prep sheet or check my lighting or all these other things because I was already ready already. Does that make sense? And so I want to encourage you to really start to look at the environment around you and say, if Roshanda started with a 4x6 space, what's my excuse? If Roshanda started with a white wall and she upgraded to all the things that you see here, what's my excuse? I'm telling you, start with what you already have. Start with what's in your hand and then start to add pieces as you go. Now, here's the thing that I really want to get into with you about creating a space that you love, a space that you enjoy being in, and one that really shows your personality. The thing that's really beautiful about having your own space at home is because while I'm doing a live interview, I can have my diffuser playing in the background. I can have some light jazz music, right? I can have my coffee here, my favorite beverage. I've even done a video where you see that candle behind me. I've had it in the background, lit. So the thing that's really beautiful about this is you can create a space that you feel at peace, at rest, and one that really helps to spark your creativity. When I've worked with clients and helping them to design their space or helping them to put a bit of their personality in their space, they were more apt, I noticed, to come into that area and create the necessary content. In fact, some of the people who were dreading showing up on camera were actually feeling more comfortable doing it because they were in a familiar and comfortable environment. And this is why this is so important. You want to create a space that inspires you to create. And that's what I've done here. So most recently, we've upgraded to these two bookshelves. But if you look at any of my previous videos, it's just this backdrop, which honestly, the backdrop is the main character. I'm just a supporting actress because over the years, I've received so many inbox messages. And when I've met people asking, is this backdrop real? This is a real backdrop. Okay. In fact, it is a photography vinyl backdrop. So, tip number one, if you are looking to invest and you want to get a backdrop, okay, I purposely picked this one with the bubbles because as you can see, it helps me to pop and stand out on camera because you, my friend, are the main character. You are the star. And so I picked this out purposely. But the other thing about having a vinyl photography backdrop is this. If you go and take a headshot and you see they have vinyl, and if a photographer uses it, guess what? It's good enough for you to use as well. The other reason why I like vinyl photography backdrops is because they don't crinkle and wrinkle. I have tried those paper backdrops that you can order from Amazon or any other place online, and it is so problematic to get those wrinkles out. I've actually tried ironing paper. It's not fun. And the crinkles and wrinkles show up on camera. So this backdrop, I think, is about 10 by 15. It covers an entire wall. Yes, I've upgraded from the 4x6, and it is vinyl. So whenever I move it, I take it down, I roll it up, I unroll it. There's no creases or wrinkles in it. So if you're going to purchase a backdrop, always, always, always make sure that it's vinyl. The other thing that I do in this space is, for many years, it was just the backdrop and me. And I decided to bring along a couple of people because honestly, I got bored and I just figured, you know what? I want to upgrade. I want to be able to do something different. And so, one of the things, my favorite color is yellow. If you ever look at anything that I do, I always try to have a touch of yellow. Matter of fact, one of our brand colors, chartreuse, is from the yellow family. And so yellow makes me feel vibrant. It makes me feel energized. And it's my favorite color. Everything in this office has a touch of yellow. So I decided when we brought in the bookshelves behind me, I said, you know what? I'm going to bring in a touch of yellow. So there, over here, you see the yellow book, right? Do one thing every day that makes you happy. I am going to change somewhere here and add my own personal books. But for you, if you're an author, you can add your book that's showing your thought leadership. A picture of your family. You can't see it, but there is a picture of my family here in the corner. And then I most recently went to Trader Joe's, shout out to Trader Joe's, and got a succulent right there. And so I added that because I wanted a little greenery. is looking for those touch points that show people a bit of your personality. My friend Cher Jones, who teaches you how to build a brand at work, talks about these things are like Easter eggs, right? So you remember when you're on an Easter egg hunt, you're looking for that golden egg or you're looking for that egg. And so while you're doing your live video or videos, period, think about those times where you can add an Easter egg or a touch point that shows people a little bit of your personality. Fun fact, on Jerry Seinfeld, it has been told that in the shot in the kitchen, he always had a Superman figure in the shot. That would be considered an Easter egg. So think about how you can show your personality. I was working with a colleague and helping them set up their backdrop and their live stream so they can be seen and heard as a thought leader in their industry. And one of the things is he is a magnificent painter. I mean, absolutely dynamic. And so I said, why would we not want to have one of your paintings behind you? Why would we not want to see that? Let's show those things. Long as it's not distracting, long as it doesn't look like it's coming out of your head, that's a part of your personality. That's a part of who you are. And so I'm a firm believer that lighting is very important. You want to make sure you have light in front of you so that way we can see you. Audio, yes, those things are very important because we need to hear you. But I also think that you should create a space that you love being in. And for some people that I work with, some thought leaders are like, Roshanda, I don't want this in my office because my office feels like work. I moved out of the bedroom down to our bottom floor of our home. We've actually taken what this would be the living room and truly transformed it into a studio setting. And for some of you, you're just like, I don't want that in my bedroom because that feels like work, or I don't want it in the corner of my office. But think about what other places in your home that you are not utilizing that you can transform into your creative space, into a space that's already set up. Now, let's talk about that for a second. I do not think that you should have spaces that every time you have to drag out the tripod, you have to drag out the banner to set it up. Because if you have to work before you work, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to create the content. So this is not something that I change. This stays set up just like it is. And so think about that corner or that extra room or basement or what have you that you can utilize and just have it stayed set up. The light is already there. The backdrop is already there. All you have to do is flip a switch, sit down, and hit the record button, and it's time to go. That's so important because that's going to help with your creative process and not sitting here thinking about where was I supposed to put this and where does this go? It's already set up and you're ready to go. So I want you to think about seriously, where in your world can you start to set up your studio? Maybe you already have a studio set up. Think about, am I really showing a little bit of my personality in my studio setup? Can people really see me and understand what values are important to me? You know, for some of you, maybe it's your 4 favorite books of all time and you just stack them on a shelf over here, right? Think about those touch points that really give people an opportunity to get to know you in a really deeper way. And when they get to know you, that's how they start to make those connections. So here's the question for you today. Where can you show a little personality? And I want you to tell me where in your video process can you show a little bit of personality, and tell me exactly what that is because I'd love to hear it. Listen, I'm going to put all of my favorite live streaming tools in the bottom of this video as a resource so you guys can go check out my favorite things in my Amazon store. I want to go ahead and tell you thank you so much for the support in checking out my Amazon store because I do get a small stipend from when you purchase from my Amazon store. And as always, I want you to remember, friend, Your visibility is power. You deserve to be seen, heard, and paid because your thought leadership is called to disrupt your industry and you're called to impact the future of your industry. Thanks for watching Visibility is Power TV and talk to you soon.